A ferocious storm slammed into Chicago, wind roaring like an angry beast through the towering skyline. Rain pounded on the patrol car's roof, sounding like a million tiny hammers striking steel, and streaks of lightning cut the darkness in jagged flashes. Inside, Detective Rachel Morgan's knuckles were white around the steering wheel. Beside her, Duke, her German Shepherd partner, sat rigid, amber eyes glinting with focus. The radio crackled. An abduction confirmed at Factory Number 12 in the West Industrial District. Suspects were armed. Backup would arrive in 15 minutes. Rachel's voice, calm but urgent, crackled back. Copy that. Canine unit on scene in 3. Duke's low growl answered her, and they plunged into the storm, both braced for the danger ahead. What would greet them once they reached the factory? They emerged onto a deserted industrial road where puddles reflected the weak glow of street lamps. The factory loomed ahead like a sleeping giant, its steel skeleton rusted, windows shattered wide like empty eyes. Rachel killed the headlights and parked a block away, rain slashing her face as she slipped out of the car. Duke followed, his paws silent on the slick pavement, ears pricked at every distant snap of debris. The faint glow through the cracked walls promised someone inside. Rachel pressed a finger against Duke's head. Patience. Then edged toward the side entrance, gripping her weapon. What horrors were waiting just within that rusted door? Rachel lowered herself to the wet asphalt, listening through the storm's howl. Inside, voices floated through the gaps. 3 men in heated chatter. One warned, "If something goes wrong, you clean it up. No loose ends." Another scoffed, "Relax. No one knows we're here." The third, pacing, muttered a bad feeling. Duke's muscles tensed behind her. Rachel peered through a narrow gap and saw them. The guard with his hand on a gun, another man arguing with a shadowy figure, and a silent watcher in the corner, cold, calculating. The victim was nowhere in sight. Rachel's heart thundered. Had they moved her already? Or was she just out of view? Before she could decide, a metallic clang echoed inside. Then an earth-shaking explosion ripped through the building. The blast slammed Rachel into the concrete with jarring force, knocking the breath from her lungs. Pain exploded in her ribs as smoke and debris swirled around her. Duke hurled himself at the collapsing entrance, claws scrabbling at twisted metal. Between them, a steel beam pinned Rachel. She coughed, the storm's fury muffled by the haze, and saw Duke's desperate eyes. He pawed at the wreckage, but it held firm. Could Duke save her? Or was she trapped forever beneath the rubble? Rachel forced herself to her side, every movement an agony, and locked eyes with Duke. "Go get help," she rasped, voice hoarse. Duke's ears flicked. He hesitated, torn between duty and the instinct to protect. Then, with a whimper, he turned and burst back into the storm, each raindrop slashing at his fur. Rachel watched him disappear into the night, her breath shallow, weakening as darkness edged her vision. Would help arrive before it was too late? Outside, Duke raced through empty streets where no one dared venture in this tempest. He barreled past deserted storefronts and littered avenues, driven by the single thought of saving his partner. A glow of fluorescent light in the distance, the police station. He bolted up the concrete steps and burst through the glass doors, sending an officer's coffee cup tumbling. Janie Carter sprang up, stunned, as Duke barked, sharp, urgent. Carter reached for Duke's harness and spotted a blood-stained scrap of paper tucked in the strap. Rachel's handwriting spelled out a single word and a number. Gordon. Carter's heart pounded. This was a message. Could that clue lead them back to Rachel's location? Captain Frank Lawson's lined face filled the doorway. Carter handed him the note. Frank read the word, then his gaze locked on Duke. "We move now," he ordered. And Duke answered with a determined growl. Sirens wailed as a convoy of patrol cars raced toward the industrial district. Light slicing through the dark curtain of rain, Duke sat in the lead car, head against the window, eyes scanning the storm, as if he could guide them back to Rachel. The streets ended at a narrow logging road, disappearing into a forest. Vehicles splattered impossibly thick mud. Frank exchanged a look with Carter. "Duke's on point," he said. Duke leapt out, disappearing into the sheets of rain. Could the dog track a scent through the storm and find Rachel in time? Officers slogged behind, flashlights flickering through the trees, heavy with water. The thunderstorm had turned the path into a river of mud. Boots sank, jackets soaked. Duke plunged onward, nose to the ground. Suddenly, he stopped at a low-hanging branch where a strip of Rachel's jacket was caught, smeared with blood. He grabbed it and whirled, barking, then bolted deeper into the woods. The trail twisted and turned until the trees cleared into a small opening. There, half hidden by pines, stood a run-down cabin, thin smoke curling from its warped chimney. A faint glow seeped from cracks in the rotting walls. Duke's growl was a low, guttural promise. Rachel was inside. How many more obstacles would stand between them and the missing detective? The team formed a perimeter as Duke padded toward the back entrance. He pawed at a loose plank. An officer pried it open, and they slipped inside. The cabin's interior was cramped and damp, stench of mold and stale smoke thick in the air. Beer bottles and maps littered a metal table. Duke darted past the clutter to a dusty rug concealing a trapdoor. He growled, pawing at the wood. Captain Lawson and Carter yanked away the rug. A hatch yawned open, darkness yawning below. Lawson shone his flashlight down. Faint tears of Rachel's jacket hung beneath the trap. Was this the last barrier between Rachel and freedom? Before they could descend, a weak voice echoed from below. "Rachel!" Lawson called, weapon raised. Jacob stepped down, gun tight in his fist. In the corner, Rachel sat bound, bruised but alert. Her eyes sharpened with relief when she spotted Duke. She managed a tired smile. "Knew would find me." Duke nudged her hand as Lawson secured the hatch behind them. Suddenly, footsteps pounded above. The kidnappers had realized they were breached. Could the small team hold off attackers above and escape with Rachel? The wooden trapdoor burst open as gunfire sprayed the cramped basement. Sparks flew where bullets struck metal. Lawson's team returned fire. One kidnapper dropped instantly, but two remained. Rachel scrambled to her feet, wrenching a small knife from her boot to cut her restraints. Duke sprang at an attacker charging her. His powerful jaws latched onto the man's arm with a snarl. The gun clattered to the floor. Rachel seized her chance, delivering a crushing blow that sent him sprawling unconscious. Behind them, Carter's bullet cut down the last kidnapper's flight for the back door. Silence fell, broken only by ragged breaths. They had done it, but at what cost? Back in the station's medical bay, Rachel sat on a cot, arm bandaged, cheek still stinging from her cut. Duke lay by her boot, head resting on cold tile. His amber eyes, half-lidded, still scanned the room for danger. Rachel's fingers grazed his damp fur and memories flooded back. Their first day together, trainers warning that Duke was too independent, too stubborn. But in those eyes was a warrior's soul, a protector who would never give in. She whispered, "You were always stubborn." Duke flicked an ear, tail thumping on the floor as if to say, "And you're just as bad." Could they ever repay each other for this night's sacrifices? Dawn broke softly over Chicago, washing the streets in golden light. No more sirens, only the sleepy stirrings of a city waking up. Rachel and Duke walked side by side down the precinct steps, exhaustion in every step. Yet neither faltered, partner and protector, bonded by blood and bravery. Rachel paused at the top, looked down at Duke's trusting gaze and smiled. "Ready for the next one?" she asked. Duke's tail gave a single confident wag. No words were needed. Together, they disappeared into the morning calm, ready for whatever challenge came next.